I have been a lifelong fan of the Adventures of Superman for as long as I can remember. And after reading a lot of comics and watching a lot of TV shows and movies, I came out of it with two main questions. The first is the Earth doomed? By that I mean, compare and contrast Earth to Krypton, this utopic civilization. Interpretations seem to vary, but in almost all of them, they had everything. All the early technology and the science to make their world virtually perfect. In many ways, Krypton is what many of us wish the Earth was in the future. The end goal. But it's a fool's errand, right? Krypton had everything, and even it fell. It was usually due to a combination of hubris, ignorance, or just plain corruption. We have almost everything they have now. We don't have any of their resources or experience that they had. If the future example of our end goal is catastrophe, then what are we doing? If they couldn't make it, then what chance do we have? The other question is, what do we owe each other? Superman was my favorite superhero growing up, and that was hard because almost everyone I knew didn't feel the same way. It has become common opinion to believe that Superman is not only a boring hero, but a bad one, and I was always curious why. In my personal limited view, I believe it's two main factors. The first is ignorance. When was the last time anyone actually read a Superman comic before? Most people just assume that they know what the plot is about. A strong, invincible man beating bad guys easily, not realizing that he possesses a world of complexity in his social circle, his actions, and how his actions affect other people. The second is morality. He's a goody two-shoes, a do-gooder who always goes out of his way to help others. And I think many people don't follow that philosophy. I won't sit here and say that the reason why is because people are more selfish or mean. I don't think that's true. But I think people are more reserved now. It's in human nature to want to take care of yourself first and everyone else second. But now with the decline of third places, which could be its own video, people are just more excluded than ever, with varying opinions on it. And it must be a shock to the system when Superman asks a question that many of us have never really tackled before due to our current mode of life. That being, what do we owe each other? No, seriously, what do we owe each other? I'm not going to be answering the question in the video, obviously, but I do believe that the Superman mythos tries to push us in the right direction. The question of what do we owe each other is a complicated one, and there are many ways we can approach it. So let's see a few. Some would argue that we owe each other nothing, that caring for others means nothing and therefore results in nothing. I won't say that this method is wrong, but it does bring into account a problem I alluded to earlier. In a world where people believe they owe each other nothing, basic empathy for others begins to erode. In a world where no one is really looking out for each other, the overall silent suffering of others becomes regular. This may seem a bit extreme, but we can see this in many other social aspects. The rise of the loneliness epidemic and the vanishing of third places are formed by much more complex factors. However, a life where we abandon each other only helps to amplify it. Another interpretation is what we do owe each other is some level of kindness. This is good. I believe that most people live within this ideal. In this lifestyle, you may try to optimize your own happiness by doing as many good deeds as you can, and going down the list, or better yet, simply treating others the way you want to be treated. If you see someone struggling with something you're good at, and wish that if the roles were reversed, someone helped you, you can do the same. Unlike the previous interpretation, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. I guess the only issue is the scale of the empathy you impose. It is restricted to only your close circle and people you can see every day. It can leave you with a blind spot on large social issues you could be focusing on. But it very much depends on the person on whether or not this is even an issue. Now, that being said, Superman tries to answer this question with a very different approach. Due to his position and his power, Superman does try his best to value all life and help as many people as possible. A worldview created by the way he was raised and the responsibility that he was born with, which shaped the way he views his purpose and his duty to protect all life on Earth. So Superman's answer to what we owe is everything. But that is pretty unfair, isn't it? I mean, we're not Superman. Helping others nonstop is not necessarily within our reach or capabilities. However, Superman never really believed that to be true either. Yes, he wants everyone to treat each other well, but for him, it's more of an ideal to strive for. That sounds weird. The action of helping others being viewed as an action and a fantasy. Something that at first seems paradoxical, but makes more sense when you think about it. We are only human. We are not perfect people. We make mistakes, and that is part of the human condition. So to expect yourself to always do the right thing is a pipe dream, but a dream worth fighting for. In Superman's ideal world, everyone does their best to help each other out while also trying to better themselves every single day, making sure that they are better than they were yesterday, creating a collective way of life that we can all, as a community, attach ourselves to. I would like to go back to the original question. If Krypton, a super advanced civilization, couldn't survive, then what chance do we have? I don't know the answer to that, but that doesn't mean we can just despair. We can still try to better ourselves and view Krypton as a cautionary tale rather than a prophecy. Weirdly enough, an answer to both original questions can be formed this way. What we owe each other is a village. A village of people who look out for each other, who can become better versions of ourselves. And once we have each other, we can make sure to prevent any mistakes that could happen together. Thanks for watching.